Hello, this is John Wood, developer of GARENA, and this is devlog number 2. As you may have deduced, this is not going to be a weekly vlog, and it's been even longer since the last update. So if you're wondering what's happening on that front, I've decided that as it now takes quite a lot of time just in the process of releasing the update, and also as I'm trying to get the game ready for a final release, hopefully in July, or somewhere thereabouts, I think it's best to release perhaps 1 or 2 big updates before then, if any, rather than lots of small ones. Anyway, to recap, the bulk of ZGA's artwork is now being handled by Max Graw, so the next section of this video will demonstrate some of his progress on that. And after that, some diagram assisted rambling about my latest progress on the AI. We've now got these weapon spawn platform models, and these will serve a practical purpose as well as an aesthetic one, in that they'll make it much easier to see where the weapon pickups are and also show where the weapon is going to spawn before it does. From an aesthetic point of view, I think they serve very nicely to break up the floors, which can otherwise look quite visually monotonous. We've decided to add some armour plates of sorts to the avatar model, and here you can see the first design Max came up with. I think this will improve the design of the model and also be another category for unlockable options in future. Max has been practicing with UE4's particle system tool, the results of which are these seriously fancy particle systems. He's just made these spawn effects so far, but expect more on this front in future. And lastly, more progress on the temple rework. Not all of the progress is evident from these pictures. In particular, there are some really nice looking pillars that aren't that visible here. But something you can see pretty well is this glass roof, which shows the spacescape outside the map. Okay, well, the AI is now demonstrating something you could conceivably mistake for intelligence, and its latest behaviour is that it can eventually find its way to any random point on any magnetic floor. So when you saw it last, it could only get between points on one magnetic floor. In this case, it's trying to get to that weapon, and it's done it. So I'll explain what's going on here bit by bit, because there's quite a bit going on to make it work behind the scenes. So you can see these red lines, which is where it's just drawing a path, and it knows is clear between nodes. Nope. Between nodes on the 2 different floors. If you don't know what I mean by nodes, if you recall from last time, the floors are represented to the AI by a bunch of connected nodes. So it's pre-computed where there are straight line paths between 2 nodes on different floors that it can fly between. That's probably not the most important element of what's going on to make it work here though, because as you can see, it's often failing to grapple properly to the floor, which is something human players do. It's very difficult to reliably, reliably perform any action in the game, let alone something like grappling in GARENA. So something else I've made, which is going to have much wider applications for the AI in general, is a system of goals for the AI. So it'll set some goals for itself, decompose those into sub-goals, and then the goals can either return a pending state, a completed state, in which case it will move on to the next sub-goal, or a failed state, in which case the goal it decomposed from is responsible for handling that in some way. Okay, well, I'm not sure I was explaining the business with the goals with utmost clarity there, so I've drawn this diagram to explain the whole goal system with this specific example of the find weapon goal that the AI was demonstrating there. So on the diagram, the goals a goal decomposes into are marked by these black arrows. So find weapon initially decomposes into recall weapon location and go to location, and where goals are evaluated sequentially, that's represented by one of these green arrows. So recall weapon location has got to be successful before the bots can go to location. That is the location found via recall weapon location. Anyway, for now the AI is actually just omniscient, because that was just the easiest way to do it, to test the whole system and get it up and running. So recall weapon location never fails right now, so it will just recall the weapon location and go straight to that location. The way go to location is decomposed is that first it will try to land on any floor, and this is just because it's easiest to do that with the way the current system for getting to a point on another floor works at the moment. But anyway, the way land on floor works is that first the AI will try to grapple to any the nearest floor. Not just the nearest floor, it's also got to be on the right side of the floor, but it doesn't do many checks for collision and that kind of thing, because that would be quite costly on performance and take quite a while to implement. But the way it works at the moment seems to work in most cases, which is that it tries to grapple to the nearest floor. If it bumps into something, and that failure is indicated by the red arrows, then it will just wall jump away from that thing, wait for a bit, and then try again to grapple to the nearest floor. And the way that works out is it generally only ends up failing a few times before it manages to make its way to a floor. So once it's landed on any floor, then so it'll find a sequence of floors that it can get between just by travelling in straight lines using the grapple. And it does that by searching pre-computed paths between floors that have been checked that are clear. So once it's computed this path, then it'll the next goal is follow floor sequence path or something like that. This whole diagram, by the way, is it's a simplified version of how the system actually works, because that would be too complicated. Yeah, but so the way follow floor sequence path decomposes is first it will find one of those aforementioned straight line air paths between the current floor and the next floor in the sequence, which will consist of two nodes, one on the floor it's currently on and one on the floor it's trying to get to. So first it needs to walk to the node on the floor that it's currently on, which is this goal here. Never mind. and then it's then it grapples. Once it's at that point, then it grapples straight to the point on the other floor, and in theory at this point there should be a clear path between them, but this goal can still definitely fail if it grapples ineptly, as you saw it do repeatedly. So as with all the goals, if they fail, then the goal above it that decompose into those goals has got to handle that failure. And the way all of these goals here, as I recall, handle failure is just by in turn returning failure to go to location. And the way go to location handles failure is by just re-evaluating itself from scratch. So it will destroy all of its goals and make new ones, starting with land on floor. Then it will, whatever floor it lands on, it will compute a new floor sequence path. So this is how you saw when the AI failed, it was able to get back to just any floor and then find a new path to the goal. And in theory, as long as it can get back to a floor reliably, which so far it can do pretty well, then it should get to its location eventually. And that's what a player would do. And if it seems too clumsy at the moment, which it does, then I can just work on the accuracy of grappling in future. But the important thing is that it can handle failure in an elegant fashion. Anyway, so once it's got to the floor with the target location on, then it's simply a matter of walking to the target, in this case the weapon. Right, well that was quite a lot of waving a mouse cursor around in front of a diagram, so I'm not sure how interesting that's going to be. But anyway, as for how the AI is going in general, I think I should just about be able to get a good enough result in an acceptable time frame, although it could be quite a close thing, because as I expected it is proving to be really quite difficult and also just a very large volume of work. Anyway, my plan from here is just to, as quickly as possible, get a basic version of the AI working that you'll be able to actually play against, and they'll be able to offer some kind of competition just in free-for-all. And by my estimation, once I've ironed out this navigation system, all it really needs to be able to do from there is shoot at the player and, you know, perhaps dodge around a bit in between looking for weapons or seeking out the player with the same navigation method.